Morning all of you. We are dealing with what? Weekly current affairs, right? अच्छा, SORA was in news. What is SORA? हाँ, newspaper पढ़ रहे हो? Daily current affairs पढ़ रहे हो? What is SORA? SORA. What is SORA? No idea. OpenAI tool. What is LLM? Large language. क्या? What is it? What does it do? हाँ, क्या करता है? SORA क्या करता है? LLM क्या करता है? What does LLM do? Large language module. What is this large language module? Conventional languages. Why it is called large? It is not a language conversion tool per se. Is it a word prompter? क्या कर रहे हो तुम लोग? ठीक है, चलो. What is the time period we are covering? 26th March to February to till 9th of March. 26th February till 9th of March. Most of the important. See, I have willfully skipped the videos that were done on topics on a daily basis. So I am not covering those topics because those topics go to the YouTube and listen very beautifully, very detailedly. They have been done on a daily basis. So what has been skipped, I am doing it here. And what has been given to you in the daily current affairs, also I tried to skip. So that you read the daily current affairs, you watch those videos that are put on the channel and attend this particular class. Okay? Chalo, good. The list of topics that we are going to cover today. This is a little older topic, but I thought of talking about it also. Public Examination Prevention of Malpractices Bill. Very important. Okay? Center's agreement with the Tripura government. This Tripura Motha is in news, no? Tripura Motha is in news. We'll talk about that. Methane satellite has been launched. Very, very important. Grey zone warfare is in news. Generative AI. GenAI. GenAI is where your LLM, where your SORA. कुछ समझ में आ रहा है? What is generative AI? AI is itself is generating, no? Then what is generative AI? Say for example, you give text command and you ask the AI to generate a picture out of the text. It is called generative AI. You write, say for example, just example, classroom in progress, teacher taking class, students listening to it carefully. I want the background in this color, the board in this color, so many students in the classroom. You enter, you will get a picture. This is called generative AI. If you want video also, video will also come. So that is how based on input they are creating generative AIs. So this is why it is in news. Why this is in news? The one problem with Google's AI, no? On a particular prompt, not India, your favorite person, Modi. On a prompt, is Modi a good prime minister? On those lines, it gave not very good answer. So that is how government has come up with a regulation to control the generative AI also. So they don't want to control the space. Rules related to postal ballots have been changed. What dimensions have changed? We'll talk about it. They are now allowing citizens beyond 85 years of age to get access to postal ballot. Earlier it was 80 years. So they have increased the age criteria to 85. Some more other things we'll see. Rajasthan has passed a new law related to two-child rule. If anybody is having more than 2 children, application to certain government positions will not be permissible to them. So that is the Rajasthan's two-child rule. India's Navy Piers and Sea project, project Seabird. What is a pier? P-I-E-R. Civil engineer कौन है यहाँ पे? होगा तो भी हाथ नहीं उठाएगा. हाँ? What is a pier? P-I-E-R. Any idea? No, actually pier is something, say for example, if you have to construct something on the shore, because of the paucity of space there, what these people do is, the civil engineers, they venture into the sea and construct something on top of the sea, where the boats are tied, what he is trying to tell. You have seen your Burj Khalifa ke hame palm tree. It is nothing but a sphere from the geographical point of view. So certain infrastructures for Navy are being constructed on spheres. Okay? So that is how that piers. That is how the word pier and project Seabird, we'll talk about it at length. Second, rocket launch port of ISRO. In Tamil Nadu, a new rocket launch location has come. What is that? K se start hota hai. Some Patnam, something. What is the need? Anybody? We already have SHRA, no? Satish Dhawan, Sri Harikota ka. We already have one. So why next here? Just 1 + 1 free, sir. Huh? Huh? What is the need? Good. Generally, when the rockets are being launched from Sriharikota, if they are launched directly, the rocket at some stage would be hovering over the land mass of Sri Lanka. If something goes wrong and the rocket falls, there is a problem. So what they do, they design the flight path in such a way that once the rocket takes off, it skirts Sri Lanka. It does not fly over the land mass of Sri Lanka. But for this process, payload in terms of fuel increases. So they don't want to cut down on that particular payload so that that weight can be given to certain other equipment that can be loaded on the rocket. So they have created this where there is no, it is not crossing through Sri Lanka. It is what this, say for example, this is your India, this is where your Sri Harikota is there and this is where your Sri Lanka is there. So when the rocket is launched, if it launches straight, it will go like this. So they design the rocket, it will come till here, it will skirt and then it will, so for this extra fuel is used. Now they have located this place here. Now because it is to the east, the rocket can go straight. So reducing the fuel payload, that's the idea of doing this. We'll talk about it much more length. Public examination prevention, actually February 2nd week or first week, this is the news. I thought of including, I wanted to talk something. Any unfair means practices in the examination, cognizable, non-bailable, poor dimensions have come and fines have gone up to 1 crore. So that is the amount of, and there is a particular classification where institutions indulge in any malpractices, forfeiture of property, forfeiture of their right to teach and other dimensions also they have done. Okay? So people with all sorts of bad records, they are doing good in the market. So the UPSC wants to get rid of all of them. Household consumption expenditure survey. Anybody? What is the major highlight of this survey? Animal protein is consumed more than. No, give me the difference in urban and rural. This thing. Which one? Rural consumption is. Okay. Anything else? How many of you have not heard about this topic per se? Not heard? Why? Very important, no, from prelims perspective. Household consumption expenditure survey 2022-2023. Very important. Isko download karo. Entire survey download. You will get questions from this survey also in the prelims. If you are writing this year prelims, then definitely you should be reading through it. Okay. Tripura government. See, Tripura is a state of India. Hello, Tripura is a state of India. Six sisters, 7 sisters. 7 sisters, Tripura is one of the sisters. Who are all the 7 sisters? Starting from 7 sisters, evaru? 5. 2 more sisters. Manipur. And Nagaland. And the 8th sister is Sikkim. Okay? So Tripura, when Tripura, you should know the history of Tripura. Tripura got independence when India got independence. Till 1949, Tripura was an independent country. In 1949, through a merger agreement, Tripura joined India. Right? Now, Tripura says that, the people of Tripura or the tribals in Tripura says that, we are the promises that were done to Tripura, given to Tripura at the time of merger, those promises have still not been fulfilled. So the agreement was called Tripura Merger Agreement 1949, right? And these people say that over a period of time, if you see the location, geographical location of Tripura, it is very close to Bangladesh. Over a period of time, lot of Bangladeshis have come into Tripura and they are creating lot of trouble for us. The demographic profile is changing. There are certain other issues also in Tripura. As I told you, the conditions of Tripura merger agreement have still not been fulfilled. So there is an entity called Motha, T-I-P-U-R-A, Motha, T-I-P-R-A, Motha. It is nothing but the Indigenous Progressive Regional Alliance, a regional political party in Tripura. Political party, understand this. A regional political party, it is not an insurgency organization. So recently, the central government, the Tripura Motha and the government of Tripura and India, tripartite agreement. This political party, the existing government of the state and India, they have signed a agreement called a tripartite agreement. What is the aim of the agreement? To bring a lasting solution to the problems of the state's indigenous people, the people who belong to the Tripura state. Okay. What is the agenda? The Motha's demands included a greater Tipraland. You know, greater Nagaland is a what you call demand that has been pending. On the similar line, greater Tipraland is also a demand. And what are they saying? More powers for the Tripura Tribal Areas Autonomous District Council, TTAADC. On the lines of BADC, you have this Bodoland Administered Tribal Councils, BATC. You have how many tribal councils in the northeast? Likho, box banao. Tribal councils in the northeast, schedule 6. Tribal councils in the northeast, uska pura list banao. In a tribal council, that tribal particular council in that designated area gets right to take certain decisions independent of the state, independent of the center. They can take political decisions, they can take economic decisions, they can take any decisions with related to collection of revenue, tax and other things. So under that agreement, they want more powers. The Roman script to be declared as the official script of the indigenous Kokborok language. Please make a note. Prelims ke liye important hai. It is in Tripura, Roman script, and Kokborok is a Tibeto-Burmese, very important. It's a Tibeto-Burmese language spoken by the Tripura people in Tripura and neighboring areas of Bangladesh. See, it has neighboring with Bangladesh. Tripura ka map dekho, international boundary with Bangladesh and state boundaries with which all states. Question will come in prelims. Okay? State boundary of Tripura and with the international boundary with Bangladesh. Okay? So what they want? This Tibeto-Burmese language to be declared as the official script for the indigenous Kokroboro language. This is their request. Now if this happens, something will happen in the schedule 8 also. Connect it with the polity. Schedule 8 changes will happen. Language. Okay? So understand, this is important. The demand seeks to include every tribal person. Very important. See, understand. See, what they are saying is, they are saying every tribal person who belongs to Tripura, whether he is living in these tribally administered council areas or within the state or adjoining states or anywhere in the world, should be covered by these rules and regulations. So that is how they are saying the demand seeks to include every tribal person living in indigenous area or village outside the TTADC under the proposed model. However, the idea does not restrict to simply the Tripura Tribal Council areas. It extends to include Tiprasa of Tripuris spread across the different states of India like Assam, Mizoram, etc. It also includes those living in Bangladesh, Chittagong, Kagrachari and other bordering areas of neighboring Bangladesh. It means they want all these rights and privileges of being a Tripura guy to be extended to every Tripura person whether which is in the council itself, in the state of Tripura, in adjoining state of Assam and Mizoram, and also adjoining countries also, wherever they are, they should get this special treatment to take decisions about them as per the local indigenous rules, laws and procedures that they believe in. So that is how. But if you see the Bodoland administered tribal council, other tribal councils, the powers, extended powers given to the tribal councils are restricted to that particular geographical area only. But here the demand is, irrespective of the geographical area, wherever my person is residing, he should get this extra powers. So it is kind of creating a sense of extraterritoriality. Understand this concept. Okay? So that is how it is important from prelims perspective. This it will write only in the TTADC. That's a wrong answer. It is extended to everything. Google about this word Tiprasa, Tiprasa. When you go back home, Google about this word Tiprasa, Tiprasa. This is a word basically used to signify any person from this Tripura land as a person belonging to this particular place. Tiprasa, Tiprasa, irrespective of his place wherever he is. And this is not the first such series, it is the 11th in the series of agreements signed between the government to make northeastern region free of insurgency, violence and disputes. Demand for Greater Tipraland. The objective is to carve out a new state for the 19 indigenous tribes of Tripura under Article 2 and 3 of the Constitution. Polity is getting included here. So under Article 2 and Article 3, when you go back home, Article 2 and Article 3, language is very important, each and every word is very important. Okay? So it is basically to carve out a new state. So we have a similar issue in Nagaland, Nagalim they are asking for. In Assam we have Ahoms, they are asking for Swadhi in Assam. So similarly in Tripura they are asking for Tipraland, Tipraland. It is an old what you call demand that has been demanded for long time. How did the demand originate? Apprehensions of the indigenous communities change in the demographics of state due to huge influx of refugees from East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. So the demographic profile has changed. Do one thing, a small homework. Tripura demographics in 1949, Tripura demographics in 2011. 2011 के साथ comparison करो, you will understand. In Tripura today, the Tripura people are a minority and the migrants who have come from Bangladesh are majority. So in their own land, they became minority, somebody else became a majority. That is the reason why so much of problem. Ethnic conflict and insurgency, 860 long kilometer with Bangladesh. Just imagine 860 kilometers with one state, that is your Tripura, right? Alleged discrimination faced by the Tripura Tribal Areas Autonomous District Council, unfulfilled demands of revising the NRC. You remember NRC happened in Assam as it was promised under the Assam Accord of 1985, but no NRC exercise has been carried out in Tripura. So all these points you should be aware of. Okay? Key highlights, basically resolve all the problems, joint working group to implement the mutually agreed points, ensure peace in the region. So these are the broad what you call objectives of this, but very very important, read this. It says trying to give you about militancy in Tripura. The first militant outfit to form was Tripura National Volunteers. It was active till 1988. However, most prominent ones were National NLFT, National Liberation Front of Tripura, and all Tripura Tiger Force. ATTF comes in news regularly. They carry out a lot of nefarious activities in the Tripura. These groups had various demands. NLFT wanted to establish an independent Tripura and ATTF wanted to finalize the Tripura merger agreement. So these people concentrated more on independent Tripura land, and these people concentrated more on whatever promises you made at the time of merger, fulfill those promises first. Okay. So now, however, all of them wish to remove Bangladeshis immigrants who had entered Tripura after 1950 despite their ideological differences. This is very very important because they primarily wanted the illegal migrants who had come from East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, should be identified and deported out of what you call Tripura. Assam Accord Padna, please make a box. Assam Accord 1985. Assam Accord gives three-dimensional approach to deal with the migrants. Particular date, particular thing, particular date, particular thing, 3 dimensions. Okay, very, very important. So same lines they are also asking for this thing. I personally feel this is a valid point. But the problem is, in Assam's NRC, they identified 19 lakh illegal migrants residing in Assam. Now they are being stationed in a refugee camp. Bangladesh told, I am not going to take even a single person. I will not take back even a single person. Now if you identify somebody as a refugee and staying illegally in your country and staying in a secluded area, more and more law and order problems will come. Because the anti-social elements may target them, inside them saying that the government has not done justice to you, though you have been staying in this land for so many years. So they can be easily molded to become terrorists or insurgents. See, these are the challenges that the government faces. Okay? And anti-Bengali sentiment of Tripura rebel groups had given birth to the United Bengal Liberation Front. This is the third organization, United Bengal Liberation Front. The group wanted to protect Bengalis in Tripura. This is what? This is a different group. People who are targeting the Bengalis in Tripura, to protect them, one more anti-force came into force called United Bengalis Liberation Front. What was the agenda? The group wanted to protect the Bengalis in Tripura from militants, ATTF and NLFT. This group was supported by Bengali dominated Communist Party, which supplied arms and infrastructure. So here comes role of state actor. Here comes the role of state actor. Understand this. Internal conflicts among them had divided NLFT into NLFT-B, led by Biswa Mohan. Very, very important. NLFT ka 2 dimensions came internal. The same way for NSCN also we had, no? NSCN IM and NSCN K. Khaplang and Isaac Moiwa. Isaac Moiwa. Okay? So in NLFT also, because of the internal conflicts, 2 groups emerged, NLFT B and NLFT N. B is led by Biswa Mohan and N is led by Nayan Basi Jamtia. So these are the 2 diversifications here. ATTF, which was a right-wing organization of the NLFT, had become its own military organization led by very, very important name Ranjit De Burma. So ATTF was nothing but a right-wing organization within NLFT. So ATTF is born out of NLFT, understanding, a right-wing organization. That is the reason why you will see here in the demand, he is asking about independent Tripura. This guy is not asking about independent Tripura. He basically wants economic development to come. From that, things will settle down gradually. That is what ATTF believes. That is the reason why, because of change in the ideology of NLFT and ATTF, ATTF was born out of the NLFT, which was a right-wing organization within the NLFT. So it came out, became a militant organization led by this person. Many a times we will see on ground internal fights between these two, and this fellow also. So understand, the security forces who are working in the anti-insurgency role, in the insurgency protection role, they have to understand who is attacking whom and what is the purpose of attack, who is attacking whom. So this is you need to understand. And because he is getting support from the government, it becomes very difficult to take action against this particular person. Okay? So complete chaos in the state, Tripura. आंसर बोलो. दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट, उसको मिस मत कर, आंसर गलत हो जाए. हाँ, पॉलिटी एग्जाम लिखा ना. हाँ बोलो, आंसर बोलो अपना. पूजिता, व्हाट इज आर्टिकल 2? आर्टिकल 2 क्या है? ये आर्टिकल 2 है और यस और नो? This article 2 or not? What is article 3? New states, carving out of the existing states. Methane satellite. A satellite that will track and measure methane emissions at a global scale. Very, very important at a global scale. Why is methane dangerous? Who are the maximum producers of methane? If I use economic activity, methane. Economic activity where methane is produced. Okay. Okay. Animal rearing. Good. Anything else? Anything else? Why are we more bothered about methane? Potency. More potent and longevity. It is said that methane is around 80 times more harmful greenhouse gas than your carbon dioxide. So now the world wants to keep an eye on the methane generation in the world. What it says, launched aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from California. Basically US and New Zealand, if I remember correctly, they had made a joint venture to do this. Objective is to identify and cut the methane emissions. The main culprit, fossil fuel operations, which account for about 40% of all human caused methane emissions. Fossil fuel operations. This is where the methane generation happens on a large scale. That needs to be done. Why it is needed to track and measure methane emission? Methane is an invisible but strong greenhouse gas and the second largest contributor to global warming after carbon dioxide. Though it is second larger, but the potency is the highest. In the quantity, in the quantum, carbon dioxide is the highest, but when it comes to the capacity to do it, it is methane the highest. What is a greenhouse gas? How do you define a greenhouse gas? What is greenhouse? Meaning of greenhouse. Dropping bombs. Trapping warmth in a particular area is called greenhouse. Good. तुमने ग्रीन नेट देखा है गार्ड नर्सरीज के ऊपर? दे पुट अ ग्रीन नेट. Why? Why it is green net? Why it is important? Why do they put green net? To save the plant from the direct heat of the sunlight and to trap the warmth also, moisture also at the same time. That's the intent. Heat nahi chahiye but warmth chahiye. So that is the reason why methane, any gas that is leading to heating up of your सरफेस. अरे तुम लोगों का मुश्किल है, छोड़. Very, very important. According to the UNEP, over a period of 20 years, methane is 80 times more potent at warming than carbon dioxide. If this trapping increases, we said that the greenhouse gas is basically trapping of the warmth. If that warmness is increased by 80 times, obviously it will become not desirable, right? So that is the reason why methane is very important from the perspective of environment protection. The gas also contributes to the formation of ground level ozone. Very, very important from prelims perspective. Carbon dioxide bhi dega, but the answer is methane. It will create a ground level ozone, a colorless and highly irritating gas that forms just above the earth's surface. At times when you enter into an industrial area, suddenly you will feel your eyes are burning. If you have experienced this, suddenly you will feel the eyes are burning. The burning of the eyes is primarily because of the high methane present in the ground level. That is why it is called ground level ozone creation happens with methane. According to the 2022 report, exposure to ground level ozone could be contributing to 1 million premature deaths every year. 1 million premature deaths. 1 million means 10 lakh people dying every year. UNEP report. This is the UNEP report of 2022. Essentially, the methane satellite will orbit the Earth 15 times a day, monitoring the oil and gas sector wherever the oil and gas sectors are operating. It will create a large amount of data which will tell how much methane is coming from where, who is responsible, and are those emissions going up or down over time. So, the data collected by methane satellite will be made public for free in near real time. Very important. This will allow stakeholders and regulators to take action to reduce the methane emission. Okay? Important. So, what is the purpose of this satellite? Basically to track the methane production wherever the methane production is happening, generation of methane. Methane satellite is an American-New Zealand space mission launched in 2024 aboard the SpaceX transporter 10 ride-share missions. The entity behind methane satellite is the Environmental Defense Fund, EDF. Make a note, very important. A US-based non-profit environmental advocacy group. थोड़ा इसके बारे में Google भी करना. EDF is funding mega projects across the world. Environmental Defense Fund. To develop this satellite, EDF partnered with Harvard University, the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory, and the New Zealand Space Agency. Very important. So, this is a joint effort primarily between US and New Zealand, taking into academic spheres also in partners, Harvard University and all. Okay? So, that is how they are trying, because lot of parameters have to be shared with everybody across the globe. So, there has to be a common consensus on grading the methane presence in the atmosphere also. So, for that the academic people are also required. It fills the critical gaps because there are no specific methane monitoring systems today in the world. So, that is how this methane satellite became important. It is equipped with high resolution sensors, wide camera view to identify super emitters. Use of AI is also they are doing. Please Google super emitter. Super emitter के कुछ criteria है important for prelims. Super emitters. And also very important, your global methane pledge of 2021 is very important. Global methane pledge 2021. More than 150 countries signed the pledge in 21 to cut their collective methane emissions by at least 30% from 2020 levels by 2030. Means if in particular 2020 they were releasing say 100 units of methane, by 2030 they have to reduce it to 70. So, that is how 30% reduction. This pledge was done in 2021. But the biggest problem came here is, though the pledge was very good to hear and all, they said 2020 levels, right? There was no system to, there is no database. आप समझ रहे हो इस बात को? So, to in future if certain pledges we do, whatever the data the monitoring system is putting on a particular date and time, that can form the base year. That was the idea of this. And in this global methane pledge only, the idea of having a methane satellite was conceived. ठीक है? हाँ, methane के ऊपर some global important, just note down. World Bank का 2 institution है. One is CH4D is one platform. The Global Methane Reduction Platform for Development, focusing on methane abatement in agriculture. Abatement means anything supportive of agriculture, because the processes that we have in agricultural, it is causing to more and more methane generation. So, these are basically 2 platforms, the Global Flaring and Methane Reduction Partnership, GFMR, which basically concentrates on oil and gas. This fellow concentrates on agriculture, methane production, agriculture, waste and livestock and all. This fellow is concentrating on the oil and gas industry, right? The The UNEP's International Methane Emission Observatory launched the Methane Alert and Response System, MARS. Very, very important from prelims, MARS. Methane Emissions Observatory launched the Methane Alert and Response System. Methane Alert and Response System, MARS, at COP27. Very, very important, both the points. MARS was launched in COP27, a new initiative to accelerate implementation of the Global Methane Pledge of 2021 by transparently scaling up global efforts to deter and detect on major methane emissions sources. Very, very important. Mars के ऊपर Google करो. There is one full page of UNEP. Mars. Lot of data will come. COP27. Answer though. Very, very important. Grey zone warfare. Anybody? What is a grey zone warfare? Grey zone warfare. What is a grey zone warfare? Grey zone warfare. In international geopolitics, there are two terms, peace and war. Peace is absence of any type of conflict. War is the highest intensity of conflict, right? If there is a situation in between the two, this is called, war is basically a black zone conflict, black zone area, where things are not in the right shape, right? Peace is a white zone area. Grey zone conflict is something in the middle. Grey zone conflict. What the miscreants do is, they understand that waging a full scale war is cost demanding and you will get highlighted as a negative personality in the world politics. At the same time, they cannot remain at peace because the ideology is itching them to do something. So they found a middle ground called grey zone conflict. What they primarily do is, instead of targeting your country borders or infrastructure along the border, they will try to target where you are growing. For example, if say for example, we know today India and Israel relations are on upscale, that we are partnering deeper with both the countries, right? So these people, what they will do, they will target the sectors where India and Israel are engaging, target the places where the relationship is becoming deeper. Say for example, if you have seen 2008 Mumbai attack, the attacks happened at selected places only, where Israelis used to go in the evening to have a leisure cup of tea and all. Certain cafes where Persian origin people used to go and have their tea and evening snacks were targeted in 2008. The idea here is not only to attack India, but also indirectly disturb the relationship between India and the Persian countries and the Israel. So if somebody is resorting to that, it means indulging in grey zone conflict. If you remember in one of my classes of internal security, I also spoke that terrorism is nothing but a grey zone conflict. Because in a war, you will understand who is a winner, who is a loser. But in terrorism, it is difficult to tell Pakistan won or India won. So things will remain in grey forever and no pinpoint responsibility can be done. Say for example, recently Saudi Arabia Aramco के ऊपर भी UAE drone attacks were done. Yes or no? So this is also a classic example of grey zone conflict where your infrastructure was attacked by the finally it came to know that who were the attackers? The Yemeni Houthis. Basically the Houthis were behind this mastermind attack on the Saudi Aramco. It is said that after this attack was executed, the global supply chain of oil got disturbed by 5%. It means one single attack, global oil supply chain 5% disturbing means the price will go sky high. So understand this, understand how these people are playing with small items, right? Now, 5 modes of grey zone. Please make a note. Deniable attacks, information operations, use of proxy forces, economic coercion and territorial encroachment. These are the 5 dimensions of gray zone conflict. China is indulging in this, America is indulging in this, Russia is indulging in this, again America is indulging in this, India is indulging in this. So, every dimension we are trying to control the economic or some other landscape of some countries. Okay. See, whenever anybody is using what India is using against Pakistan is also economic coercion. What we are doing through FATF or not allowing Pakistan's trade to flourish, that is also a what you call example of grey zone conflict. Deniable attacks, information operations, use of proxy forces. Russia was using certain proxy forces in Ukraine war, no? Mercenaries, ये word सुना होगा आप लोगों ने. Mercenaries where private armies are sent to fight on behalf of a country. It is use of proxy forces only. ठीक है? Economic coercion and lastly territorial encroachment. You have heard about news. This news comes regularly, no? China has created a new Chinese village in Indian territory. So this is also a classic example of grey zone conflict. Very, very important topic from mains perspective. This year I am expecting one question from this. These are all the dimensions a grey zone conflict can happen, where all it can happen. Intelligence, diplomatic, economic, socio-cultural, lawfare, cyber, energy, infrastructure, crime, military, anywhere it can happen. Grey zone conflict. Can anybody give me an example of grey zone conflict here? Your diplomats are picked up for spying for something. So that is how you use them. You remember I told you 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. Before the liberation actually happened, Indira Gandhi sent called back all the ambassadors, in place of them sent all the raw agents as ambassadors. So this is nothing but a classic example of grey zone conflict. Okay? She should have survived another 10 years. Maja aya. Grey zone warfare generally means a middle unclear space that exists between direct conflict and peace. This is I have already explained to you. Multitude of activities fall into this zone, from nefarious economic activities, influence operations, cyber attacks to mercenary operations, assassinations and disinformation campaigns. Anything can be part of this thing. If you remember, recently India was accused of killing somebody in Canada. So there is nothing but a classic example of a grey zone conflict. Though nothing came out after that whether India was actually involved in it or not. Assuming that India, if it has been involved, then it is a classic example of grey zone conflict. Very often we come to hear Russia has executed somebody. Yes or no? If you remember, there was a talk that the Chief of Defence Staff, India's Chief of Defence Staff, who died of a helicopter crash, there was one school of thought that was saying that it was planned to remove him primarily because of some reasons. So if that is true, then it also becomes a grey zone conflict where your top military personnel are removed from the chain of command. So that is how grey zone conflict goes much deeper than a normal conflict. A normal conflict is fought only on the border, but the grey zone conflict is fought much deeper in the territory of a country. Okay? Understand that. Please read through it once. Generally, you will see that grey zone conflict entire dimension is surrounding again in and around power struggle. That is where the grey zone conflict comes into play. It's a power struggle. That's why we call it as a power struggle. Experts claim that such methods are often employed by parties who have not had access to massive resources or power traditionally. Therefore, such tactics can help gain an advantage over a more technically well-equipped adversary that is more used to conventional warfare. That is the reason why now we are seeing Pakistan using drone attacks on India. So there is a very high alert along the border that some major attack on India can happen using a drone also. So now anti-drone, what you call tactics, have come into the military books. 10 years before, there was no concept of drone attack on India, but now it has become a reality. It is said that on an average every day, the border is reporting 10 to 15 drone attack attempts along the border, from minor scale to medium level scale. So it means Pakistan is probably, either with the help of China or not, I don't know, is trying to exercise the choice of using a UAV instead of a terrorist to carry out a terrorist operation. It is more easier to execute, because for a terrorist, you have to hire him, you have to indoctrinate him, you have to train him, you have to pay him, you have to exfiltrate him, you have to ensure his safety while exfiltration, then he goes and carries out an attack. So it is a big loop, and if caught alive like Kasab, then the blame comes directly on me. It is easier to send a UAV. Self-destruction UAVs now, they are, see, it has gone beyond your imagination. Say for example, the location of parliament is known on GPS. I will set the glide path, I will set the coordinates, self-destruction, you go and hit the parliament building. The idea is, directly the UAV will fly over the parliament on a designated GPS location, it will go and directly hit. So what is the payload, what is the capacity of RDX, all these things will come into calculation to destroy that particular building. The idea is not to destroy the pura building. The idea is to create a blast in the parliament premises so that it becomes a national, international news that Indian parliament was attacked. That's all. Take care. Understand. This is the origin, not important, just you can just glance through it. When the Cold War dynamics were happening between America and Russia, grey zone was used as a tool to exert more influence on the opposite team. That's the idea of, right? But in today's nuclear age, the price of traditional war has become too high and the danger of things getting worse is very serious. So that is the reason why more probability of grey zone conflict in present context. Okay? I've spoken about this at much length. Because this question came primarily because China is doing lot of things related to grey zone conflict in the South China Sea. Okay, so I made this question not on grey zone conflict but geographically. Answer कौन बताएगा? South China Sea, these three islands का ही तो fight है ना? Parsley Islands is there, Scarborough Reef is there, and this Spratly Islands is there. I am asking you to arrange them from south to north. हाँ, कौन करेगा? Nehru. B. Nehru says B. Anybody agrees? हाँ, Lokeshwar. Don't know. Yes. Don't know. Yogeshwar. D. Yogeshwar says D. हाँ, you tell something. Don't know. नाम पता है? साउथ चाइना सी पता है? Spratly Islands, Scarborough Reef, and the Parcel Islands. The answer is D. ठीक है? Answer is D. Nehru. Very, very important. Generative AI, generative artificial intelligence. In news because, say for example, listen, I'll tell you how things happen. I gave an example in the beginning, no? I type a text of classroom setting. I want a good photograph, right? Now what I told you recently, Prime Minister के बारे में, in one artificial, what you call generative AI में, the response was not very positive, right? The problem is, AI does not know who is Modi. AI only knows Modi as a text. What Modi can do, AI does not know. Now the problem comes is, if that Google or whichever search engine has provided its data for artificial intelligence generation, if using that data, somebody has created some data, Google also becomes responsible for the output of that data. So, what the government is telling, all the intermediaries, if they make their data available to common public for any use, including artificial intelligence generation, they will also become liable. So, what they should do, as per the advisory, all the mentioned entities, that is intermediaries like Google, Facebook, WhatsApp, to seek permission from the government and label their platforms as under testing before making them available to the public. It means now onwards these platforms would not be allowed to write anything which is against the government. Simple logic. Okay? Understand this. So that's why I said AI does not know who is Modi. AI only recognizes Modi as a text. If in multiple platforms negative is written about Modi, the artificial intelligence generation will also be negative. So what the government is telling? The intermediaries should take permission from me before giving their data for AI generation. This is the crux of the story. LLMs, large language models. See, what is an LLM? I'll tell you. LLM is nothing but generally तुम कुछ टाइप करते हो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में, if you type something, it will prompt you the next word, right? It generally prompts you the next word. The same prompt in AI is called LLM, large language models. For language word, do not get carried away by it is language. It is not about language, it is about data only. They are calling it large because it tries to extract information from a large database instantaneously. That is why it is called large language models. Now, the LLM is in news because it tries to preempt your text. If you are typing, I want leave. For example, you just typed, I want leave. Next, it will automatically prompt for 10 days or for 15 days. Now, it is prompting based on the regular usage pattern. But LLM does not follow the regular usage pattern. It basically uses the artificial intelligence to understand your emotions and then give you this thing. Say, for example, you were not very happy with your boss and you spoke something about your boss. I told you, now your mobile is also listening. Your mobile is also listening. You sit down and you are trying to write a resignation letter. Before your boss, somebody knew that you are about to write this letter because you just now spoke very ill about your boss with your colleague. Though you did not put any recording button on in your phone, just the phone was on the table and you spoke about it. The artificial intelligence understood ఇవాళ రేపు వీడు రెసిగ్నేషన్ ఇచ్చేస్తాడు. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ రెడీ విత్ ఇట్స్ కంటెంట్. ద మూమెంట్ యూ టైప్ రెసిగ్నేషన్ లెటర్, ఆల్మోస్ట్ ది ఎంటైర్ రెసిగ్నేషన్ లెటర్ ఫార్మాట్ విల్ బి రెడీ ఫర్ యూ. సో జస్ట్ ఇమాజిన్ వేర్ ది ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ ఇస్ గోయింగ్. నెహ్రూ ఇస్ థింకింగ్, సార్ లవ్ లెటర్ కూడా ఇస్తారా? ఇస్తారు, డోంట్ వరీ. ఓకే. సో ఆల్ ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెంట్ మోడల్స్, large scale modules, software using generative AI or any algorithms that are currently being tested must seek explicit permission of the government of India before being deployed for users on the Indian internet. They are using a word, Indian internet. The Ministry of MEIT issued the late night advisory on March 1st, a first of its kind globally. Nobody has issued such notification till now. So we have told, भैया कुछ भी करने से पहले हमसे परमिशन लो, हम बताएंगे मोदी के बारे में क्या लिखना है और क्या नहीं लिखना है. ठीक है. It asked all the platforms to ensure that their computer resources do not permit any bias or discrimination or threaten the integrity of the electoral process. Now, why it has come in news now? Because now we know elections are going to happen. The government is afraid that the opposition or public in general or entities which are anti-government can use this opportunity to generate lot of text which is against the government. So to stop from any of such attempts, the government has issued this directive at this point of time. Processed by the use of AI, generative AI, LLMs or any such other algorithm. The government advisory comes days after a social media post on X claimed that Google's AI model called Gemini was biased when asked if Prime Minister Narendra Modi was a fascist. तो पूरा गदर इस गधे की वजह से हुआ. वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. गूगल का AI मॉडल कॉल्ड Gemini. ठीक है. कभी ट्राई सोरा समटाइम्स, SORA, सोरा को ट्राई करो. वेरी ब्यूटीफुल प्लेटफॉर्म, दो इट इज स्टिल इन द डेवलपमेंटल स्टेज ओनली. अभी कंप्लीट डेवलप नहीं हुआ है, बट इट इज वेरी ब्यूटीफुल मॉडल. You can create videos also, not only photograph. You can create a video. You have to just enter the text. You have to define what background you want. You know, a video of I walking on the Lakshadweep beach. Money started laughing already. But your Prime Minister went to Lakshadweep, Baba, ऐसा नहीं है, ठीक है. So I walking on the Lakshadweep beach. You give, I should be wearing this dress. I should be having a shawl on my shoulder. The shawl should be draping outwards from right to left. The color of the shawl should be such. The water should be visible in 30% of the photograph. This should be the intensity of the wave. पूरा दे सकते हो. Trust me, there is no end to it. There is no end to it. If you are too finicky, you can say two foreigners in the background towards the beach. ठीक है. So that is the amount of AI that you can generate. ठीक है. The user claimed that Google's AI GPT model Gemini was downright malicious for giving responses to questions which sought to know whether some prominent global leaders were fascist. Who are called fascists? Who are called fascists? Okay. So it is primacy to the state cause than any individual cause. So that is, they are called fascists. Any global fascists in the past? Mussolini. तो बहुत पास्ट में चला गया, ज्यादा पास्ट. बेसिकली मुसोलिनी एंड ऑल, दे वर ऑल फासिस्ट. ठीक है. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन डार्क नेट एंड डार्क वेब? రెండు డార్క్ సార్, దట్ ఈస్ ది సేమ్. एनीबडी यूज डार्क नेट? टॉर किसी ने यूज किया है? There is nothing wrong in using darknet. Hello, lot of good data is also there. You don't have to look at me like that. Lokeshwar, never tried. Download Tor. TOR, Tor. The Onion Router. TOR का full form है The Onion Router. Excellent platform for darknet. There is lot of data. हाँ, రూట్ చేయాలి. రూట్ చేయకుండా ఎట్లా పని చేస్తుంది? అండ్ ది ఇట్ ఈస్ యాప్ ఈజ్ అవైలబుల్ ఆన్ యువర్ నార్మల్ ऐप स्टोर, whatever ऐप स्टोर you have. if it is normal phone, any ऐप स्टोर, गूगल प्ले स्टोर और एप्पल है तो ऐप स्टोर में मिलेगा आपको. ठीक है. आई सजेस्ट यू शुड गो इनसाइड. ट्रस्ट मी, not everything is dark in darknet. And lot of you know, if you want data of any university or something which is not generally available on the surface web, you will get it in the darknet. You need to pay some money and they will give you all the details related to that particular university. It is legal. Darknet is not illegal. Darknet is legal. Doing wrong things on the darknet is illegal. ठीक है, understand this. ठीक. Lot of things people are doing. Recently that one video also surfaced, no, of Rashmika using AI with deep fake learning. Okay? That is how there are a lot of troubles with the artificial intelligence if it is not controlled. That's the reason why the MeitY had issued that advisory for controlling the deepfake. Okay? This is where generative AI can be used. So many dimensions it can, and one most important is data augmentation. Data augmentation. Just I was telling you before also in the class, I told you, say for example today a class happened on geography, one particular topic on geography, monsoon patterns in India happened. Go to ChatGPT, give a detailed overview of monsoon patterns in India in the format of an answer in 150 words or 250 words. It will give you a beautiful answer. So use it for your what you call data augmentation from the examination perspective. ठीक है. थोड़ा language change करना पड़ेगा, that you can change, no problem. These are the problems. The biggest problem is the deep fake. What is a deep fake? Fake that is so deep that it is very difficult to identify it as fake. That is called deepfake, right? Who all are into deepfake? All of you. Huh? Now, very important slide, existing laws in India related to artificial intelligence. India lacks any specific law to address the deepfakes and AI related crimes, but provisions are there under the IT Act. Make a note, section 66E of the IT Act 2000 is applicable in cases of deepfake crimes. Very, very important from prelims. 66E, deepfake crime, right? That invoke the capture, publication or transmission of a person's image in mass media, thereby violating their privacy. 66E. What is 66F? IT Act निकालो, बहुत important है. Such an offence is punishable with 3 years of imprisonment or a fine of rupees 2 lakhs. 66D punishes individuals who use communication devices or computer resources with malicious intent leading to impersonation or cheating. It carries a penalty of so and so and fine of so and so. Very important section 67, 67A, 67B of the IT Act can be used to prosecute individuals for publishing or transmitting deepfakes that are obscene or contain any sexually explicit acts. 67, 67A and 67B. Publishing or transmitting, both. Publishing and transmitting both can be made a big offense. ये एक लिखो. The World Economic Forum's 2024 Global Risk Report ranked AI-derived misinformation and its potential for societal polarization as one of its top 10 risks over the next 2 years. Global Risk Report के top 5 risk क्या है? Make a list of it. Global Risk Report, World Economic Forum 2024. It is one of the top 10. So which are the top 5? Find out, make a list. 1 to 5, very important from your prelims. Global Risk Report, World Economic Forum. ठीक है? This I have already spoken. Voice cloned audio. अच्छा, recently in one of the banks in Mauritius or Singapore, I am forgetting, one person created a deepfake video of their management sitting and taking a decision that this much money has to be transmitted to so and so countries, and sent it as an official attachment email to the finance section, and seeing that video they transferred the money. Some millions of dollars were transferred. It means he created a room as if he is sitting there and all the management directors are sitting there, their voice cloned, their videos cloned, and they are giving instruction to release this money to so and so particular account. So based on that live interaction, the finance department released that video. They created a website, what you call Google Zoom Meet link, and in that link he did this job beautifully and the money got transferred. So imagine how they are using voice cloning audio also and also the video also. So there is big threat from this domain to the internal security of the country. Okay? AI can form intimate relationships with people using that intimacy to personalize messages and influence worldviews also. It can show, it can make एक Trump का deepfake video आया था. I don't know if you have seen. He is talking in Haryanvi. Very beautiful. It is looking as if he is only talking. And एक और video आया था. President Obama's speech was modulated using deepfake. So this can create troubles across the world. ठीक है? Translate Prime Minister's Narendra Modi's speech from Hindi to Tamil during an event in UP in December 2023. ठीक है? वही है कि how we use it. Give me the question का answer. Acha, what could be the reason for increasing this age from 80 to 85 for postal ballot? What could be the reason? Life expectancy. They are thinking up till 85 you can very well come and cast your vote. But if you are any disability is there, obviously you can use the channel of what you call postal ballot. Even if you are less than 85. Okay? Poll officers, because poll officers, when the polling is going on, he may belong to a place, but on duty he might be posted to somewhere else. So he can also cast his vote on using a postal ballot. COVID positive persons, now these chances are less, but yes. So this 80 has become now 85. And rule 27A of the conduct of election rules. कंडक्ट ऑफ इलेक्शन रूल्स का एक बार ग्लांस थ्रू करो. प्रीलिम्स अगर लिख रहे हो इस साल, कंडक्ट ऑफ इलेक्शन रूल्स, कंडक्ट ऑफ इलेक्शन रूल्स इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम योर. एंड हु ऑल आर एलिजिबल? सर्विस वोटर्स, absentee voters, electors on election duty, electors under preventive detention, and this COVID-19. Who are these service voters? These people who are working for the armed forces. Service voters is like if somebody is posted in border area, he cannot apply for leave. If everybody goes to cast their vote, then who will take care of the border? So for them also this postal ballot services have been extended. Okay? It was not there before. In 2003 or 2004 this clause came. Before it was not there. So most of the time it was so happening that the service people were not participating in the voting at all, because of the exigencies of services. Okay? It was then done. Who could be your absentee voters? Absentee voters, who could be them? Who are these absentee voters? Who are these absentee voters? Huh? NRI. Primarily the migrant workers who have migrated for any reason from any place. They can also be given that particular process. Okay? This generally happens. The biggest challenge with the postal ballot is the person who is casting the vote, he is not aware of the ground reality that much. So he can be influenced to vote for whom or not to vote for whom. Though the percentage of people using the postal ballot would be very minuscule, but however even that minuscule population can be done this. This can happen. Okay? That's the reason why that is one of the problems. संभाल के देना. Answer. And very importantly, don't be in a hurry. Lokeshwar. D. You mean to say both are correct? Every person who is a resident of India. Do you give right to vote to every person who is resident? Lokeshwar. Amen. Only Parliament can make laws with respect to elections to the state legislatures. Only. Answer do. Seniors, answer do. You are also senior now. You are double senior. Bolo. But only. What is the answer? How many of you thought the answer would be C before? Lokeshwar unluckily cannot raise his hand. Do you think this should happen for India also? क्वेश्चन में पहले दिखाता हूं. The 12th 5-year plan aims at reducing the total fertility rate your plan says to reduce the fertility rate. क्या मतलब? आंसर 2 पॉइंट, बिकॉज यहां पे 2.0 नहीं है या 2.5 नहीं है. व्हाट इज दिस 1? वही 2.1 कैसे हो सकता है? व्हाई इट इज 2.1? या एक बच्चा या दो बच्चा? 2.1 बच्चा कैसे हो सकता है? So it is basically as a result of come on, divided by the, यही करोगे? मनी, this is what you will do. What will you do to get 2.1? How will you arrive at this 2? ये 2.1 कब होगा? What should be the formula? पॉपुलेशन को डिवाइड कैसे करोगे? This is important. When you talk about the fertility rate, you have to take into account this is important or not. For this you need to account, you should have this figure, very important. Then you should have this figure, this minus this divided by, when will you get 2.1? Divided by what? होमवर्क गूगल करो, लिखो बॉक्स, हाउ द फर्टिलिटी रेट इज डिटरमाइंड. एक बड़ा सा अच्छा सा पेज आएगा, उसको पढ़ो अच्छे से. अच्छा, फैमिली प्लानिंग है ना? यू हर्ड अबाउट द वर्ड फैमिली प्लानिंग. स्टेट लिस्ट, नेशनल लिस्ट, आई मीन यूनियन लिस्ट, और व्हाट लिस्ट? हेल्थ इज अंडर व्हाट? Family planning. Why? If the health is in the state list, why family planning? Do you think family planning is not part of health? Then why it is in the concurrent list, if he is right? Interest of the state. The word is interest of the state. So that is the reason why population control and family planning is a subject matter of concurrent list, which contains matters both the center and the states can legislate on. Thus, several states have made laws to push for the family planning to opt for two-child policy. In Javed versus State of Haryana, Supreme Court upheld Haryana Municipal Act 1994 and consequently affirmed the two-child policy for holding the offices of Sarpanch or Up-Sarpanch in the state. So, if you are wanting to contest for Sarpanch or Up-Sarpanch, if as a male member, if you have two or more children, you are more than two children, you are ineligible to contest as a Sarpanch. So what happens is, naturally, if Sarpanch is not allowed to have more than two, he will not allow any idiot other him also to have more than two. Automatically the control will come. That's the idea of doing this. So that is why Supreme Court also affirmed that particular thing. Other states, Rajasthan is one, Odisha is one, Gujarat is one. Rajasthan 94 disqualifies those with over two children from contesting elections as a panch or a member of the Gram Sabha. Okay? The Odisha Zilla Parishad Act 91 bars those with more than two children from contesting Zilla Parishad elections. The Gujarat Local Authorities Law Act 1962 disqualifies those with more than two children from contesting elections for bodies of local self-government like panchayat, municipalities and municipal corporations. So all three levels it is not permitted. So already there in Rajasthan from this perspective, now they have brought overall two-child policy rule. Okay? Important. Nothing will happen to the existing children. Understand this. This idea you need to, the third child will not become illegitimate. Don't worry. If somebody is the third child, don't feel so. Okay? Very important. Indian Navy's Project Seabird. Project Seabird of Indian Navy. The Defence Ministry inaugurated the infrastructure projects at the Indian Navy's Karwar base. Karwar base is in Karnataka. Karwar base, K-A-R-W-A-R, Karwar base in Karnataka. The project includes 2 major piers and 7 residential towers. 2 major piers and 7 residential towers. See, this is a pier. This is the land area where buildings are there. But because there is no space left to construct anything, from the offshore they will venture into the sea. There is no dearth of sea space. So much 70% of the world is covered by water only, right? So they will go inward towards the sea and create infrastructure like this. This is called a pier, P-I-E-R. So as part of this project Seabird, it includes constructing 2 major piers, means huge piers of good area, and 7 residential towers. The expansion of the naval base is crucial for accommodating a growing fleet and enhancing the operational capabilities. So whenever our naval fleet gets enhanced, you need to have support infrastructure also, right? And the land is not there, so they have now started venturing into the sea. The first phase of Project Seabird, concluded in 2011, was designed to accommodate 10 ships. The phase 2A of the project includes berthing facilities for 32 ships and submarines along with 23 yard crafts also. Not only ships but also crafts. So it is much more bigger in size. From prelims perspective, understand the present project Seabird is phase 2 project. It is not being done for the first time. Before also it was there, which was done in 2011. Understand? It is a naval infrastructure project which entails the creation of naval base at Karwar, Karnataka, on the west coast of India. West coast of India, not east coast. It was approved in 1999 following the Pokhran II by the then Union Defence Minister Fernandes. Post 1971 war, there felt a need for an additional naval base since Mumbai harbour faced congestion, which led to security issues for its western flanks. So that is the reason why this Karwar, it has come. Very important, second rocket launch port of ISRO. I spoke about this launch port of ISRO. What I have explained you, the present Sriharikota Air Base, when the rocket gets launched, it takes this skirt. This skirting process is called dogleg maneuver. This is called dogleg maneuver. Dogleg maneuver. Dogleg maneuver is basically, it is a sharp turn that the missile takes primarily with an intention to avoid passing over a landmass. Because if it passes over a landmass, if something goes wrong in the flight path, if it lands on the ground, it could be devastating, right? So that is the reason why it is so. Okay? Now in Kulasekarapattanam in Tamil Nadu, Tuticorin ke paas hai. It can go to the south straight where Sri Lanka becomes onto the right, to the east of this. So that is the reason why this second rocket launch port. But one thing we need to understand, this port will be used only for small satellites. It will not be used for bigger satellites. That is what the government has decided. So the major port will remain your Sriharikota only. So only minor satellite and medium scale satellite launches will happen from this new port. Remaining all major satellite launches will continue to happen from Sriharikota. The reason is, developing something similar to Sriharikota is very expensive, right? So a lot of technicalities come into play, its geographical location comes into play. Though Tuticorin is much more nearer to equator than Sriharikota. What is the advantage of launching a rocket from the equator? The drag would be why proximity to the equator is important to launch a rocket. Lower? ऐसा करोगे कैसा होगा? नेहरू, प्राइम मिनिस्टर आप बनना मुश्किल है, मोदी बैठा है जो एआई को भी कंट्रोल कर रहा है, ठीक है। Very important, Toothukudi district of Tamil Nadu, where the new port has come up. It is called Toothukudi district of Tamil Nadu, where this new launch site has come. And as I told you before also, it will be extensively and exclusively used for commercial on demand and small satellite launches in the future. Extensively and exclusively. That's what I said. The bigger satellite launches will continue to happen from Sriharikota only. They will not use this for launching a bigger satellite. All the commercial satellite and on demand. What is this on demand? Many a times what happens? Other countries request you to launch their satellites also. So on demand, if such satellites have to be launched, the commercial satellites and all the small satellites will be launched from here only. The idea is primarily to decongest the Sriharikota launch port of ISRO. And secondly, if you are segregating commercial, it means for all defense related dimensions, it will purely happen from Sriharikota. So that more secrecy can be maintained what is happening here. See, what happens is, say for example, France comes, request India, please launch my satellite. If your defense satellite is under production, French fellow will also come. When he is doing his job, he will look, acha will idu chestunaru. So he will write in his diary, India is preparing to do something on this. So we do not want anything of that sort. We want to, have a very secretive kind of arrangement here where foreigners are not allowed to venture into it because of joint collaboration. That is the reason why we are now shifting to new, it is called Kulasekarapattinam launch port, which is in the Toothukudi district of Tamil Nadu. That is the primary idea of doing it. Why? Because in future, India is expected to be a global leader when it comes to satellite launches and all. Okay? So that is the reason why we are doing it. Okay? The need I have already explained you. Bigger and heavy lift-off missions. The new launch port will be used to launch smaller payloads. SAR will also be available for India's big ticket missions to the moon, Venus and much touted human flight missions, the Gaganyaan. So all those will happen from the Sriharikota launch port itself. Private players could develop space qualified subsystems, build satellites and even launch vehicles using the new launch port, not the old one, right? It will also facilitate dedicated launch infrastructure for all the on-demand commercial launches, the new one. This is where the new launch port would be used. Understand this very, very importantly. As I told you, the primary reason is to peel off the commercial activities from Sriharikota, where more of research can be done on national interest related launches. Small SSLV is the new, very, very important. Google a little about this. SSLV, developed by ISRO to cater for the launch of small satellites. It has 3-stage launch vehicle, very important, having a lift-off weight of about 120 tons and 34 meters in length and 2 meters in diameter. 34 meters in length means approximately how many stories? Approximately 11 to 13 stories. Height it will have and it will weigh around 120. This is what? This is small, weighing 120 tons. Now understand, for 120 tons of a rocket to lift off against the gravity, the amount of fuel that is required. So that is the reason why 3-stage launch vehicle having lift off is designed with a 3-stage solid propulsion and a liquid propulsion stage, which is the terminal stage. So if a question comes, SSLV is a purely solid propulsion, the answer is no, because final stage mein liquid propulsion, which is the, why they use liquid propulsion in the final stage? What is the need? Just imagine as a layman, what is the need to have a liquid propulsion? जब 3 stage it is solid, last stage liquid में क्यों convert कर रहा है? because the chances of ignition are high in a liquid propulsion system than a solid propulsion system, because it is happening at 350, 360 kilometer above the earth. What is the atmospheric pressure and all, we do not know. If it is final stage also solid kept, if it does not ignite, then there will be a problem at the last stages. That is the reason why they will put liquid propulsion system at the final stage. Generally, okay? What is the weight of the satellite? 10 to 500 kg. What is the weight of the rocket? 120 tons. It means what is maximum? Fuel. It is primarily fuel which is the maximum payload. Now understand what is the importance of not skirting, so that you can reduce the fuel payload. That's the idea. You can reduce the fuel payload. Going by their size and weight, these are typically referred to as mini, micro and nano. They are low on cost and intended satellite insertion into orbits takes a shorter flight path time. SSLVs are best suited for commercial and on-demand launches. Previously, satellite projects built by college students and private players involved in the space sector have benefited from the SSLV mission. So, with this particular intent only, ISRO had built this SSLV. India's journey of SSLV, very important. It started in 2022, but this was a failure. We could not launch it in the circular orbit. We could not launch it in the particular orbit, and instead of into a 350 kilometer circular orbit, instead of the intended elliptical orbit. Can anybody tell me the difference between the circular orbit and elliptical orbit? Where we will use this elliptical orbit and where we will use circular orbit? Ante ento kuda teliyadu sir. Anyone? Circular orbit and elliptical orbit. Which type of satellites we generally intend to what you call land in circular orbit? Why? She is right. Why? Because you don't have to regularly calibrate something. If you are it is in a circular orbit, at the same time, same place, the satellite will be visible from the surface of the earth. So that is how recalibration is not needed. We generally use the elliptical orbit if something has to escape the gravity of the earth. So that what we do, first we place them in the circular orbit, increase the intensity speed so that it escapes into the, say for example, you have to go to Mars. If you have to go to Mars, you cannot be in the circular orbit. If you are in the circular orbit, you will remain there, because you have to escape the circular orbit. The intensity is increased and gradually you are kept in the elliptical orbit from where the satellite escapes the velocity, the gravity of the earth. Understand technically, उस dimension में question आएगा पक्का. What is the difference between circular orbit and the elliptical orbit? ठीक है? In its second attempt with the SSLV D2 in 2023, ISRO tasted success. The rocket inserted 3 satellites on board into the intended 450 kilometer circular orbit following a 15 minutes flight. It means in 15 minutes, how much kilometers we traveled upwards? 15 मिनट में. It means 5 मिनट में 150 किलोमीटर. इमेजिन यहां से दिल्ली अगर हम जाएं रॉकेट में, दिल्ली अगर जाएं तो 1 घंटे में पहुंच जाए. 15 मिनट इज टेकिंग फॉर 450 किलोमीटर. जस्ट इमेजिन. ठीक है? दैट इज हाउ यू आर गोइंग इन फ्लाइट ऑल्सो. नो आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन. There is a small googly, don't fall for it in the question. One only. Lokeshwar says one only. Just because I wrote while SSLV is intended to put satellites into low Earth orbit, PSLV puts them into higher Earth orbit. PSLV is also meant for in the Lokeshwar. And this is a right statement. So the answer is 2. Public examination, prevention of unfair means bill. Very, very important. If you cheat in any public examination, you will go to jail. Not only you will go to jail, you will have to pay a fine also. Okay? It covers, very important from your examination point of view, it covers all the college, intermediate, బీటెక్లో చిట్స్ పెట్టుకొని పాస్ అయినట్టు యూపీఎస్సీలో పాస్ అవుదాం అంటే కుదరదు. ఓకే, సో యూనియన్ పబ్లిక్ సర్వీస్ కమిషన్, ది ఎగ్జామ్ కండక్టెడ్ బై ది ఎస్ఎస్సి, ది రైల్వే, బ్యాంకింగ్ రిక్రూట్మెంట్ ఎగ్జామినేషన్ and all the computer based examination that are conducted by the NTA, the National Testing Agency, come under the purview of this particular bill. It has not become an act, it is just a bill now, it will become an act. How a bill becomes an act? When it gets the final approval of the assent of the president. Okay? It will also cover entrance tests such as NEET, JEE and CUT, Common University Entrance Test. You know, the Delhi University, the JNU conduct this CUET test. Okay? It proposes a punishment of a minimum of 3 to 5 years of imprisonment to curb cheating and for those involved in organized crime. If you are hand in gloves with your institution which is making you pass, it will be construed as an organized crime, and of cheating will face 5 to 10 years of imprisonment and a minimum fine of 1 crore. Minimum, not maximum. Minimum fine of 1 crore. All offences under this act shall be cognizable, non-bailable and non-compoundable. What are cognizable offences? It does not need warrant to arrest. If you commit a offence which a police officer does not need a magisterial order that his person can be arrested, it is called a cognizable offence. Any offence of grave nature is generally known to be a cognizable. Non-bailable, it means you will not get bail so easily. Generally, the police station can also give you bail. If it is a petty offence, they are called bailable offences. Non-bailable offence means only an higher authority can give you bail. Non-bailable does not mean you will not get bail at all. You will get bail, but the authority which is authorized to give you bail would be a higher authority. So that is how it is a serious punishment. And non-compoundable. Non-compoundable matlab you cannot settle outside the court. You cannot settle or negotiate. There is no arbitration or mediation in non-compoundable offences. Okay? In case of institution found guilty, attachment and forfeiture of property and proportionate cost of examination to be recovered from the institution. If, say for example, institution ABC was training students on UPSC preparation, it connived with some students and created an organized crime. If it is caught, if UPSC had spent 100 crores on what you call conducting this examination, not even the property of that institution will be confiscated. The entire cost of conducting the examination would be taken from the institution itself. Okay? I wish this was there before. Okay? So many people are doing beautiful business today, having indulged in this in the past. Okay? And the beauty is people used already people in the service to commit such crimes, and they are doing very good business today. Okay? Hello, good. Bye. Can this I wish this was applicable post facto, pre facto also. Retrospective मजा आ जाता है. गुड. काफी लोग जेल जाते हैं अशोकनगर. Household consumption expenditure survey. What is the periodicity of this survey? What is the periodicity? मतलब कितने दिन में एक बार ये सर्वे होना चाहिए? అరే ప్రిలిమ్స్ రాస్తున్నారు కదా ఈ సంవత్సరం. యోగేశ్వర్ చెప్పాలి. మనీ, యష్, నెహ్రూ and 2 idiots. Last year you are also writing, no? No. Okay. Pawan, most important. Chepu, what is the periodicity of this survey? Box बनाओ. एक बॉक्स बनाओ. बॉक्स में लिखो नेक्स्ट करंट अफेयर्स क्लास आई विल चेक दिस. उसकी दिल की धड़कन रुक गई. ठीक है. आई वॉन्ट यू टू राइट मिनिस्ट्री ऑब्लिक इंस्टीट्यूशन, सर्वे नेम, periodicity, ministry institution, survey name, periodicity, first survey, लेटेस्ट सर्वे, बॉक्स 1। समझ में आ रहा है? I don't mind, you ask Google Talli also, artificial intelligence also, I am no problem, but you should have this, all the important surveys in one place. One small controversy came in this survey, not in this, exactly in this survey. In 2023, Niti Aayog's report came, 11% of the population was below the poverty line. This is what the multi-dimensional poverty index of Niti Aayog disclosed. 11% of the population under the poverty line. And as per this, some 5% it is talking as per the expenditure. I think it is not here. So there was some controversy that there is a difference between the two report findings. Okay, so understand that. The urban-rural consumption divide has narrowed to 71%. What does it mean? Urban-rural consumption divide. Generally, how the money is spent in rural area, how the money is spent in urban area, the trend is different. Generally in rural areas, more money is spent on food, but in urban area, more money is spent on rent, electricity, all these things. Okay? This divide which was there 91% before has got narrowed to 71%. It means now in rural area also the expenditure on food is reducing and the expenditure on other items is increasing. This is the message that they are trying to give. Rural household spending on food has dropped below 50% of their total expenditure for the first time ever. So this is most important line for prelims. For the first time, the expenditure of a rural household dropped to less than 50% on what? On food. It means now their spending on food has reduced below 50%. If the earning is 10,000, they are not spending more than 5,000 on food, right? There is a sharp rise in urban and rural consumption by over 2.5 times from 11-12 levels in current prices. Hence, India's growth is not restricted to a few, but it is very broad based. What does it mean? People, what they were spending in 2011-12, it has increased to 2.5. Whether it is food, whether it is any other item, if they were spending 1,000 rupees before, now they are spending, if it is 2.5, they are spending 2,500. It means economic growth is happening. Whether development is happening is a big question mark, but definitely growth is happening. Economic growth is happening, right? As per the Niti Aayog Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index 2023, 11% of the population was below the poverty line, based on which it has argued that 25 crore people have escaped the poverty. As per its estimation, escaped the poverty means they have come out of poverty. This is what it is saying. But I would suggest all of you go back home and read a report by World Bank report on India's poverty. Excellent report, eye-opening report. World Bank's report on India's poverty. And compare that report with Niti Aayog's multi-dimensional poverty index. MDPI does three things, no? MDPI does three things. It calculates three. One, standard of living is third. One, health. Health basically determining your life expectancy, right? Education is basically determining your knowledge. Third is the standard of living, right? Then what is the global multidimensional poverty index is released by whom? The UNDP. What is the difference between the UNDP's multidimensional poverty index and Niti Aayog's multidimensional poverty index? What is the difference? लिखो 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 बेटा, लिखो लिखो। पिक्चर अभी बाकी है। What is the difference between UNDP's MDPI and Niti Aayog's MDPI? How many categories are more in NDPI or less in NDPI? In the Niti Aayog's MDPI, you see. Okay? Important. And also the World Bank report, I want you to do it. See, average monthly per capita consumer expenditure, MPC. What has happened, you see? The rural is in blue, urban is in orange. Food and non-food. In rural area, the expenditure on came to, and in urban, understand this. So that is how, what was here? So that is how always 50 above for the first time, less than 50, 46.4. Okay, very important. There is a lower spending on pulses and cereal, dropped below 5% of per capita consumption expenditure, and higher expenditures on conveyance, consumer durables and consumer services. What are these consumer durables? I was in Ahmedabad last week. I went to a mall, so-called mall. It was not a big mall, so-called Gali ka Nukkad ka mall. I had to struggle to find a kirana store. All mobile stores, all laptop and digital devices stores, all clothing stores, but there was no grocery store. Some corner mein, 2 tower shed mein grocery store. So what has happened? The entire landscape of the mall has been occupied or confiscated by the consumer durable. A good that can be repeatedly used is called a durable good. Consumable good that can be consumed only once. Food is a consumable good, right? It indicates that people are earning more and need to spend a lesser share of their income on food. This is also a meaning. It means people's earnings have increased. That is the reason why their expenditure on food has gone down drastically. Within food, the consumption of beverages, processed food, milk and fruit is going up. Very, very important. Processed food is going up. Beverages is going up. Beverages ये कौन है? Thumbs up, Coke, Sprite, यही है, ठीक है? And an indication of more diverse and balanced food consumption. This is very important. You will forget this. Make a note of this. The food basket has become more diverse and it has become more balanced in both the urban and the rural spectrum. Very important. Lot of other topics are there of previous week. 2-3 topics are pending. I'll pick them up for the next week. Okay? Any questions you can ask? Any questions you can ask?